Do you know that there's way more to Mexico than Cancun? Here's a comment that I hear from people at least once a week, if not more. I don't want to travel to Mexico because I've been there before. I think if anybody from another country ever walked up to you and said, I don't want to go back to the United States because I've already been there once and so I've seen it all. But really they only went to New York City, or they only went to Miami, or they only went to LA. All those places are great, but there's so much more to the United States in there. And I promise, if you go to New York, you're going to get a very different experience than you would if you came to Northwest Arkansas. So let's think about the size of the US in comparison to the size of Mexico. You might be surprised to see that the US is really only about 5 times as large as Mexico is. That means the US is huge, but Mexico is really big too. So if you've been to one place in Mexico, there are still tons of other places to explore. And Mexico is a wonderful tourist destination for US citizens because it's easy for us to get to, and there are some really great values to be found there. If you've already been to Cancun, you might want to explore some of the destinations that are on the Pacific side of the country. Cabo San Lucas is like this desert oasis, and it's really beautiful and amazing, and you can watch really big waves. A little further south, you could go to Mazatlan, Ixtapa. You could go to Puerto Vallarta, one of my favorite places. Sierra Madre Mountains going into the ocean, and it's just, it's like heaven on earth. And let me just tell you, on the Pacific coast of Mexico, you are going to see some of the most stunning sunsets that you've ever seen in your whole life. I promise. And if you've ever been to Cancun, there are tons of other places in that area as well. You could go to Merida, which is a wonderful colonial city. You could go to Holbox, which is an island that is north of Cancun, and it's a lot more rustic, with a lot more small, boutique, mom and pop type places to stay. You could go to Isla Mujeres. You could go south of Cancun and go to Puerto Morelos, or Playa del Carmen, Puerto Aventuras, or Akumal, or Tulum. All of these places have a different vibe and a different experience. So just because you've been to Mexico doesn't mean you should discount it as a potential vacation destination in the future. Work with a travel professional, and we can find out what you liked about the place that you went in Mexico before, and what maybe you would want to change about the place that you went into Mexico before. And we can help you to find another Mexico destination that's really going to knock your socks off, or knock your flip-flops off, as the case may be. Happy travels.